Folks, we're in a bit of a craft situation, a craftuation, if you will. Maybe you won't. Think about it. Craftuation. The craftuation at hand is that I went to YarnCon at the beginning of April and bought this beautiful skein of yarn by Lavender Loon. This is their Hozier inspired collection, and the colorway is called Movement, and it's 100% non-superwash BFL, Blue Faced Leicester. So I'm really excited to use it. And I bought it with my sister in mind. And I didn't just buy it for her in a vacuum, because what I'm about to tell you about our craftuation is my sister is very picky. So I had asked her, what are your colors right now? What are you into right now? And she said, jewel tones. And this colorway is inspired by Hozier, who's an artist that she really likes. So I thought, jewel tones, Hozier, can't lose, right? And I was right about that. She loves it. The problem is, now we need to figure out what we're going to do with it. Luckily, my sister came to visit recently because, again, I'm not gonna go into a project for my picky sister just willy-nilly. I'm gonna collect some data. So I started talking to her about what kinds of projects she would appreciate. I gave her a bunch of options based on what I knew I could pull off with a single skein of yarn. And this is what we did. Okay, so I started her off and I said, hey, the Sophie scarf, right? A classic, beloved Sophie scarf. Cute little accessory, very doable with a single skein of yarn. And I've been really into the sort of mini scarves right now, so I was like, this is a no-brainer. This is gonna work. Come on, see it with me, the vision, Sophie scarf. She said, I'm just not sure that I would really wear it. And I said, okay, let's reassess. So she's not really feeling the little ascot little scarf. Okay, emotionally, I will recover one day. And so then I said, a single skein of DK weight BFL yarn. I can do socks, and showed her a pair of my DK weight socks that I had made so she could get an idea. I also said hat. I also said that we could try to find another mini scarf pattern that maybe she would like better. And she thought about it for a minute. She took in a lot of the ideas that I had, which is good. She doesn't always want to receive input especially from me. And she said that she was feeling bandana. So something that she could potentially wear here, but mostly that she could wear on her head when she's wearing her hair down, on the town doing her thing. She's so cute. She would look super cute in a little bandana. So I took to Ravelry, as one does, searched, and found the free Painted Flowers Kerchief, which is a triangular bandana shaped bandana. She said, yes, that is exactly what I want. I love that. I love where it's going. The barrier then became, well, that uses two colors because it has these accent flower motifs alongside of it, along the edges. Luckily, I have done many projects with DK weight yarn that have given me a pretty sizable stash of scraps that I am planning to use for my Socktober project later this year. So I said, come on, there's gotta be enough. And I think the pattern calls for 50 grams of the accent color. I said, okay, what do we have? And I pulled out this option right here. This is DK weight merino non-superwash from Neighborhood Fiber Co., based in Baltimore, and we love that. And I think that these two would just look absolutely so cute together. The little pink flecks with the blue. Come on now. And of course the white will really pop against the blue because this doesn't have a ton of white in it. It does get really light blue, but it doesn't get fully white. At least that I can tell from looking at the skein and the hank. Maybe just a little bit here and there, but I'm not concerned. So yes, this worked out. I weighed it, 73 grams. So we are golden. We're gonna have extra still for my Socktober project. It's gonna be great. It's gonna work out. Everything is gonna go exactly as planned. We are going to full steam ahead cast on this project. So let's do it. So after a fun day of knitting at the NWSL game, Spirit versus Stars, which is really complicated for me because I moved from the DC area where I was a big Spirit fan. Now I live in Chicago where the Stars play, and the Stars are just not as good, although they did put up a really good fight yesterday against Spirit, and I don't know. I'm gonna keep an open mind. I had fun at the game, and that's the most important thing. But after that and some knitting on this project at home, here's where we're at. We have 4 little pressed flowers, this pressed flower kerchief. I think it's looking really good. I'm loving the little specks. One thing that's really nice about this project is we don't have to swatch. Sorry to the Swatchosaurus, there will be no tribute today from this project. And the reason that that's nice is because I get to just start it, and within the first motif repeat, which isn't that many like setup rounds and regular rounds, I have a pretty good sense of whether or not this combination of yarn is gonna work and whether or not I like the pattern overall. And yeah, I love this pattern. I think it's super cute. I'm really liking the way that the white is able to contrast all of the tones of the blue so well. I get kind of worried when it's this really light bluey kind of gray color, but being able to look, step back from it a little bit and not look at it right here and just look at it like a normal person would look at it. I think it looks really good. I like the little flecks of pink that you get sometimes from the white. I think that's just super, like a cute little touch. Because I didn't do a swatch, I wasn't sure exactly how the non-superwash merino and non-superwash BFL were gonna interact together. I noticed that the strand of here I'll show you on the ends, the strand of the merino looks a little bit bigger than the strand of BFL, but I also think this is just a little like poofier, not necessarily that this one is that much smaller. It feels a little less dense, whereas this one feels maybe a little more tightly spun or something. I'm still building vocab and experience in talking about things like grist. So forgive me if you're looking at this and going, what are you doing? Learning is what I'm doing. The other thing I'm loving about this pattern is, like I said, I've been in my mini scarfy kind of moment. I don't know. I've been really into making those mini scarves that are everywhere right now because the pattern works up really fast. The repeats are often really easy. It's a great project to just crank through. And when I was starting this, I was like, okay, like, is this gonna be as fun as a little scarfie? And honestly, yes, it's very fun. It's very easy. It's a 16-row repeat, but because you switch yarns from your main color to your contrast color at the end of every 2 rows, and you kind of do something new on the forward pass, and then on the like return pass, to use Tunisian crochet language, you're doing basically the same thing just on the back. And so that makes it really easy. The other thing that's really interesting is, so I have to increase every other round to get to 58 stitches, and I started after the setup rows with 10 stitches. And because the increases are every other round, whereas in the mini scarves, they tend to pace them out a little bit more. It's a more gradual increase. This is a very rapid increase. It's going so fast. Like, okay, so for the first half of this kerchief, I'm supposed to have 1 + 5, so 6, math, 6 flowers, and I already have 4. And that's how many stitches is that? Let's do more math. 38, 40, 42 stitches. That's already 42 out of 58 stitches that I need for the increase side of this. So this is going super fast. This is going to be done in no time if I don't get distracted by some of my other projects. But regardless, I'm very pleased with it. I'm debating sending a progress pic to my sister just to see how she's feeling about it, because again, she's picky and I don't want to get to the end of the project only to find out that she's not feeling this, that she was expecting this to be more of these like deep jewel tone purples and blues. Because honestly, I kind of was too. I didn't realize how much of the skein was this kind of blue-gray color, you know, and so if I show her this now and she doesn't like it, I'm out a couple hours of work versus I have a whole finished object with this yarn that I promised her we'd find a project for. And so I'd probably have to find a new project. But honestly, I'm gonna have so much yarn left over. Like, this is not a yarn eating project at all. Like, the mini scarves tend to use, at least the ones I've been doing, tend to use a whole skein of yarn, but this one definitely is not. I mean, it's estimating around 150-gram ball of the main color and the contrast color, but the notes say that you're gonna expect to use about 10% less of your contrast color compared to your main color. So I'm gonna have yarn left over. So I'm sure I could find something to make with that leftover yarn that would satisfy her if she's not into this. I also have to make sure that at the end of all this, she can actually tie it behind her head. That's like the whole point. Worst case scenario for that plan is I could crochet like chains or straps like off of the corners to try to give her that. Obviously then it would be permanently a hair accessory more than a like around the neck little kerchief option, which she said she wasn't really interested in anyway, but maybe she would change her mind if she just had the option available to her. Unsure. So don't know yet if I'm gonna call her in for a conflab. We will see. Because I'm kind of just want to crank this out and have it be done. But again, I don't want to get to the end and find out she doesn't like it. Gifting for people is so hard, especially when you're putting in your time and energy into making this cute little thing. It's so cute. Look how cute it is. I don't know. For now, I'm going to keep going. Maybe when I get to the end of the increase section and she can kind of see the size of it and where it's going, that would be a good time to check in. Because again, I'm only 2 flowers away from getting to the end of the increases, and then you just go back down. So you're doing basically the same thing, but on instead of increasing, you're decreasing. So we've got options, folks. That's important at this stage. Let's keep working. to the suburbs today, which means an hour train ride each way, which means we have more time to work on our little bandana for my picky sister. To update you and remind you where we're at, we have completed chart A. We now need to make the centermost flower and then start the decreases on the other side. So we did 6 flowers this way, there's 1 in the center, and then there's another 6 on the other side in the decreases. How far will we get today knitting on the train? Who's to say? Only time will tell. Stay tuned. All over with this project. We've been to a soccer game, we went to my spouse's graduation ceremony, we went to the suburbs, and then I came home and I just got on a finish it binge and I just needed to get it done. So I did. Here it is. This is the unblocked, fresh off the needles, little Pressed Flowers Kerchief. Can wear it like this, can wear it around your head. The thing is about it though, is we really need to wet block this. And specifically we need to wet block it because according to the schematics for the gauge that I did not do a swatch for, and it's not a problem, it's supposed to measure 30 inches long. And right now it's measuring 23 inches long. So what are the odds that when I wet block this, I can stretch it and it'll grow another 7 inches? It looks cute regardless, and my sister does have a tiny head, but all of this is for naught if this went well, but she can't wear it. I am concerned also because I did get some rub on this, like some dye was coming off on this and turning my fingers blue. So I have to be careful when I'm blocking it to make sure that the water is cold enough that the blue doesn't bleed a ton more, because we're mixing it with white and I don't want light blue flowers on a light blue kerchief. That would be redundant and embarrassing. So we're gonna block it. Let's go. reveal. Dun dun dun! It's super rainy and cloudy here today, so I had to turn on the overhead light in order to just get enough light to feel comfortable filming. So if there's a bit of a yellow cast, that's why, but that's okay. I'm super pleased with how this turned out overall. Here are some of my reflections on the pattern. First of all, we were able to block it bigger than 23 inches. I can go measure it right now. The pattern said that it was supposed to be 30 inches, which is 76 centimeters. I was able to put it on the blocking mats at 28 inches, and I didn't feel comfortable stretching it over that length because I still wanted the fabric to look good. Yeah, I'd say, I'm gonna call that 27.5 inches. Just trust me, that's what I'm calling. So definitely an improvement. Definitely still not to full size. Is this because I chose not to do any sort of gauge swatch or checking my gauge even when it was just down here, and it would have been convenient for me to check my gauge and then back out and get a bigger needle size? Who could say? But probably. I think if I made this again, I would just increase the needle size from a 4mm to a 4.5mm and call it a day. Have no worries about it. But again, this doesn't need to fit around the neck. It kind of does. And if I made, this is the other thing, it does fit around my neck. It won't stay tied around my neck. It's a bit too small for that. However, the pattern does come with this little tiny ringlet thing that you can make to cinch it so that it stays together right here. And I could have made that if, number one, I remembered that it existed. I got done with this and I was like, I finished it! And then remembered the little ring thing, and that brings me to number two. At that point, I didn't want to. Too small, working in the round, too fiddly. I couldn't be bothered. And that's okay because my sister ultimately wants to wear it around her head anyway, like a bandana rather than a neckerchief. And this works out because we both have small heads, so I'm using my head as a stand-in for her head at this point because I haven't mailed this to her yet, obviously, and we don't live in the same place, in case you were wondering. But as you can clearly see, if you wear it super far forward, it works. If you want to style it further back on your head, it'll work. If it works for me, it'll work for her, and I feel really good about this. I feel really great about how the color turned out. I think it has those really fun moments of super vibrant jewel tones that I get excited about. And I think that the blue-gray is not so pale that it doesn't still contrast with the white really nicely. And of course, the little pops of pink. And there are these interesting little, I don't know, flex moments. Were they intentional? Were they accidents? I'm not really sure. Of this like a goldeny browny color in there too. And I think that those are really fun. I'm really pleased with this. I also want to call out my past self, who at the beginning of all of this was like upset kind of that my sister didn't choose a little mini scarf like the ones that I've been excited to knit lately. And I don't honestly know what I was thinking. Right? Because look at this, it's the same basic concept as those little mini scarfies that I was making, except it's faster because you do an increase on every other row. Every other row you're doing an increase. I finished this so fast. Is it a few inches short? Yeah, but again, that's a factor of me not using the right gauge needle for my particular gauge, not for anything that was wrong with the construction of the garment. I didn't like skip a whole flower motif, you know what I mean? So this can definitely go in my repository of tiny little scarfy things that are just cute and fun to make, and they use up 2 colors. And speaking of, this used so little yarn, okay? So the main blue color, we started with 100 grams. We started with that full hank, and to be clear, I did not weigh the cake beforehand. I just trusted that it was 100 grams based on the label, so it might have been slightly over, but I still have 79 grams of this blue color left. You can do the math on that. I'll put it on the screen for you in case you can't. And then for the white, I started with, what, 73 grams, and I still have 50 grams of this. So all together, I think I used, what did Ravelry tell me? 23 grams of yarn on this whole project. I can truly make her a whole other one if I really want to, or I can add that DK weight yarn to my stash and it will find another scrappy little project someday, because as you may have heard, I love scrappy little projects. I really do. I think they're colorful and weird and fun. I love them. I'm also really surprised that everything went so smoothly with this project. Normally when I'm making something, even when I'm making something small and repetitive, something goes wrong where I've got a complete stop, frog, go back. I did have to frog every couple of rows on the decreases because I would just forget to do the decrease. I would just be so in the zone that I would just keep going and wanting to just knit and knit and knit and knit and knit. And then I'd get to a point where the pattern, like repeat, didn't work, and I'd end up on the wrong stitch of a slip or a knit or something, and I'd be like, I didn't do the decrease. But then it's only ripping back a couple rows to get to that, and by the time you're decreasing, there's fewer stitches anyway, and this isn't that big. So it truly was not that big of a deal. And I just really was expecting something to go wrong. And then I thought, okay, everything went smoothly with the construction of this. Surely then the problem must come from my sister not actually liking this at the end of the day, or something is gonna go wrong with that. And I texted her pictures of the finished object, and she said, and I quote, and I'm gonna put it up here so that you can see it in writing, "I love it, it's beautiful and perfect," all caps. This is unprecedented success. And she just is very particular, but I think the combination of, she told me basically what yarn she wanted, I picked out something that I liked, gave her suggestions and ideas, she picked what she ultimately wanted, I worked it up, and then it turned out how it was supposed to look. Like it's, it's bandana shaped and everything. Really helped my case. But yeah, she's into it, she's a fan, she's excited to wear it. She asked me when I was gonna send it to her so that she'd actually, you know, have it. And I said, that is a great question, because for me, mailing things just takes forever. Also, I don't have like those envelope bags laying around. I need to though, because I make things and I send them as gifts. I really should just have a stock of those, but I don't. So I don't know when she's gonna get this, but hopefully she's able to enjoy it whenever it does get here. So I don't know, that's all I have to say about this, because it just went so smoothly. Hopefully you enjoyed the B-roll of me knitting this up in various locations across the Midwest. Well, anyway, thanks for visiting my craftland. You're invited back anytime. If you want to make sure that you can keep hanging around, I recommend liking, commenting, subscribing to make sure that the algorithm brings you back for more of all this good stuff. Bye! We'll see if anything good comes out of this footage. But I just had to get my feelings out! It's important for me to express myself. Scratch my head, take a sip of water.